Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Yes, it is. Welcome in on the postgame show. Orange falling in the second game of 3 from Las Vegas Players Era Festival. Kansas gets them 70-61, the final score, and we want to hear from you here on the Burdick postgame show. The Massage Envy hotline is open, and we will be taking your calls for the next hour. If you have thoughts on Orange basketball, give us a ring at 315-437-7644. Again, 315-437-7644 for ESPN 44 is the phone number to call. Tim Leonard with you for about the next hour. We'll be reacting on CuseSportsTalk.com. We'll be chatting away on CuseSportsTalk.com. And we'll also be here on ESPN Radio. The Orange falling by a final score of 9 points. Margin of defeat, margin of victory in this tournament, point differential matters. Does seem very, very likely that Syracuse has avoided playing on Thursday based on this result. But they are 0-2 as they were projected to be in this tournament. And they did not play as well as they did yesterday. I think we can all agree on that. Really just did not make any shots in this game. And there's a couple players that come to mind that you are hoping to get a little bit more of. But overall, Kansas won in a way that Kansas probably went into the game thinking this is how we are going to win. Kansas played to their strengths, and they are a good defensive team. They aren't a great offensive rebounding team, but overall they have a good amount of size, and we knew rebounding and half-court offense was maybe going to be the areas that Syracuse would struggle in going up against Houston and Kansas. And I even said on my show going into this week that I felt like the half-court offense was going to be the sticking point amongst the fan base. And our takeaway from watching Syracuse against the big boys would be the defense would translate a good bit. And I've been very impressed by the defense. The defense has translated. And there's a lot to like about the defense, but Coach Autry has been honest from moment one of talking about this team to this point that they have spent a lot of time on defense and they haven't spent as much time on offense. And I think we're seeing the half-court offense is behind, definitely the defense. And we're seeing a lack of shot creators and a lack of shot makers. And it felt like really early on in that second half, Syracuse was getting a lot of shots that you are comfortable with them taking. But whether it's Nate Kings, whether it was Tyler Betsy, who did heat up a little bit in the second half there, and they made some threes. Bottom line is Syracuse didn't make enough shots to win this game. And I don't usually boil it down to just they need to shoot it better. I think usually it's more to a game than that. I felt like the quality of shots they got compared to the quality of shots Kansas got was not a drastic difference. I feel like both teams sort of struggled to get quality of looks, but the Orange shot at 7 for 30 from three-point range, and it honestly felt a little bit worse than that when you watch the totality of the game. So disappointing to see them not play as well as they did last night. But going into the tournament, knowing you didn't have Donnie Freeman, being 0-2 and being competitive in these first two games, I think this is still overall a team that there's a lot to be encouraged about. We can talk about the free throw shooting. We can talk about the late game situations because my biggest concern overall with the team right now is are they going to play in a lot of games like this where it's low scoring, where they're struggling to score, but they're in it, they're hanging around. And are they not going to be a great team at closing games because of William Kyle being your starting center and because of J.J. Starling having full-on yips at the free throw line? And we can call it that because that's what it is right now with J.J. Starling. He has not played good in this Vegas tournament. Kyan Anthony has also not played good. I don't think there's anything to poke at in terms of lineups or what Red coulda, shoulda, woulda done in this game. They just got to make more shots. And let's go to the phone lines and start the conversation there on the Massage Envy hotline. We've got our guy Nick, who is in Las Vegas, and he is first on the Massage Envy hotline today. Nick, were you at the game, first off?
I was, Tim. I was.
All right. What were your thoughts?
So, interesting stat that I saw when I was walking out. We got out-rebounded by 21 rebounds, and the second chance point differential was only 4 points.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, 49-29 in the rebounding. It was technically 20 on this stat sheet I'm looking at. But you're spot on there. That's pretty rare to see.
Totally never saw it before ever. But I will tell you, it looked like every time we got the ball and got into paint, they were scared to shoot the ball. Like, no one wanted to shoot. I don't understand that. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern for me is J.J. Starling doesn't look like his aggressive self. Not that I'm putting this loss on J.J., but I do think the makeup of this roster and what this team needs from each given player, they really need J.J. to be a shot creator and a driver and someone who is aggressive, because he is a senior. He's a proven guy at this point, and we know that he is a scorer, and he's out there to score the basketball, and especially without Donnie Freeman in this tournament, I think he's the guy that you are hoping to get more of. Now, is it the free throw shooting yips that is leading to him being more timid? Is it his hamstring? Is it just still kind of a small sample size with him this year? I'm not putting the loss on him, but I think that's the concern, is they do need some guys to step up and get to the hole a little bit more. Nate George wasn't doing that as much today, and they struggled to get good looks inside.
That was the other thing I wanted to bring up to you. Like, seeing it in person compared to seeing it on TV, like, it almost looks like he's doing a fadeaway when he's taking a free throw shot.
Yeah, it's not good. And it's at a point where it's all mental, clearly, because he's shooting a three-point shot in rhythm and it looks fine. And he hasn't been bad from three-point range necessarily. He's shooting a much lower volume from three-point range than last year. So the free throw shooting's a major concern. I appreciate you checking in, Nick. Anything else you want to get off your chest before I let you go?
The only other thing I would say is I was really disappointed at the fact that, like, every time Kings got to the hole, it seems like he goes too far down under the basket, and then he's trying to make up and find his footing, and it's just costing him good shots. It's frustrating.
Yeah. They don't have a lot of guys right now that you trust to drive inside and finish inside. And I think we saw them look pretty good offensively against lower-level teams because, A, they were getting defense turning into offense. They did force a lot of turnovers in this game, and that's why the rebounding margin didn't dictate the game as much as you would have guessed, because Syracuse was able to be plus 13 in the turnover margin. And I can't remember the last time Syracuse went up against a team this good defensively and of this caliber and only had 2 turnovers. So that is a positive, but I don't know why they can't match turnover margin being good and rebound margin being good. It feels like it's one or the other, and it doesn't really make sense to me why this team would be getting beat on the boards this badly. I understand that Kansas is a very tall team. I understand that Kansas has a lot of great rebounders, and Badunga, their big, goes for 14 rebounds in this game. He also had 7 turnovers. He had 13 points. I understand that Kansas has the personnel where they should probably have an edge on the glass, but it shouldn't be plus 20. It really shouldn't. This team is athletic. All the things that we've talked about in the offseason about this team should add up to being a pretty good rebounding team. Are they undersized at the center position? Absolutely. But William Kyle has not been the problem in terms of rebounding. I think we noticed no Donnie Freeman on the boards. Well, now when Kyle's not out there, they really are playing like Tyler Betsy at the 4, who's not a great rebounder. They're playing below their size in terms of rebounding, and that's where you miss Donnie the most, really. It's not that Donnie has been an unbelievable rebounder to this point in the season, but it did feel like they just couldn't match up on the glass as much as you would like. And I think that's an area where when you look at what can improve, I mean, obviously free throw shooting is top of the list right now, concerns about the team. going into the season, I did not think rebounding was going to be this much of an issue. So I'd like to see that improve. Phone lines are open. We will work in our first time out here as we continue to react on the Burdick postgame show. Orange falling 71-60. 11-point loss in the end. 71-60. The final score here as the Cuse drop one in Las Vegas to Kansas. They will almost definitely be playing tomorrow. We'll see who they are playing, and that will be a very, very big game for Syracuse here in this non-conference schedule. We're back with more on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Auburn Community Hospital.
Chat. I said that, Cuse Sports Insider. Did you miss the start? I said they missed shots. That was the biggest issue. Rebounding is not good either. You can't lose by 20 on the glass and not point that out. Adrian Autry is a horrible coach. Here we go. I don't put this one as much on coaching. When you don't have your best player and you're getting pretty good looks and you're just not making threes, it's tough for me to put it all on coaching in this game. Was there something that you would point to from a coaching perspective, OG, that Red didn't do well? We can talk about that. Oh, you're good, Cuse Sports Insider. I also disagree with we are content with looking better than last year. The guys were all devastated yesterday after the loss. If you watch the post-game press conference, every one of them was like, we don't care that we don't have Donnie. There's no moral victories. I think they've got the right attitude. It's just they're struggling to finish off some of the best teams in the country. Right. What was your example of Red taking someone out? I could have done with Betsy in there at the end, I think, but I don't think that lost them the game. Free throw shooting is a major concern. I need someone to ask Red about it postgame. No one asked him last game. Monmouth, he said it wasn't a concern. I mean, that's a major, major concern. They are last in the country in free throw shooting entering today. And they were actually a little better today, but you can't close games with two of your, in theory, better players right now. And it's going to be an issue going forward still. Now, you can close games. It's tough when JJ's your best driver and he's also your worst free throw shooter. That's an issue. But Philly's most wanted, would you agree that at the start of the second half, I mean, they somehow cut it to 2. Watching the game, I couldn't believe that they were in it. Would you agree that at the start of the second half, they got good looks and just missed them? You can fix it in season. I mean, you can't say it's on the coaching staff, the free throw shooting, and say there's nothing you can do to fix it. Yeah, we saw a little hack of Kyle there. You're right. I'm surprised to see this much hate. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be, but what were you guys expecting with no Donnie against Houston and Kansas? I'm not that down on the team overall. I think tomorrow's a huge game, and I think they hopefully will draw like an Oregon tomorrow, and I think they're good enough right now if they play like they did in the last 2 games to go beat Oregon, and then you come back home and I mean, Houston and Kansas are 2 of the best programs of the last 5 years. It's a bummer to not win these games. I hear you. We got to turn them into wins at some point, but it's still an early part of the season.
Is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
All right, we're off and running on the Burdick postgame show, and the Massage Envy hotline is jam-packed almost at this point. You can still call in right now, and we can work you in, get you in line on the phone lines at 315-437-7644. Orange falling to Kansas. They are 0-2 in this Players Era tournament, sort of as expected. Some of you would argue against that, but they don't have Donnie Freeman, and they were not projected to win either of these games. It's frustrating that they have not been able to bag a win to this point. Tomorrow becomes a very, very important game, and we can talk throughout the postgame show here about who some of those teams could be that Syracuse could draw tomorrow. We have no idea about the time of the game tomorrow. I'll just go ahead and say that. This tournament is a nightmare in terms of planning, but we do know that it seems like Syracuse will be playing Wednesday and not be playing as part of the 4 worst teams in this tournament on Thursday, because their point differential is better than Creighton, and I could go on and on, yada, yada. Just all you need to know is it's looking like Syracuse is going to be playing tomorrow at a time to be determined in a game that they really, really need to win tomorrow. Let's go back to the phone lines. We have got Chris in Syracuse, who is waiting patiently throughout the break. What's up, Chris?
How's it going? Tyler Becker reminded me of CJ Fair. Pretty good long athletic wing, can shoot the three, stretch the floor a little bit. William Kyle, I'm kind of surprised. He played a lot better than I anticipated. And then Keon's got to stop shooting for three-pointers. He's got to stop going to the basket. That's usually a fellow from.
That's Starling you're talking about?
No, Keon's got to stop shooting for 3 years. Keon, he should.
Oh, Keon, yeah.
Kyle should be going to the floor. I mean, he's more way too like this
Yeah.
And then J.D. Starling, he shouldn't be playing basketball. I don't know. Kid can't shoot. Kid doesn't play any defense. He's kind of like, I don't know. He's scared to shoot free throws, for goodness sake. I mean, come on. Like,
yeah, it's bad.
I don't know. And then Houston, I'm telling you, that Houston loss reminded me of Lemoyne last year. That loss, yes, I know it's early season. It's going to snowball.
Houston loss reminded you of Lemoyne, Chris? Let's think about that.
It's going to snowball affect the whole season. I mean, they were this close to winning like a big time point. I know it's not Lemoyne, but it's that loss. It's kind of
well, that's progress at least. If you're saying that it reminded you of, I mean, that was one of the worst teams in Division I last year. Now one of the best teams, right?
No, I get that, but but I mean, like overall, you played a good team and you fell short. It's gonna. And look, they lost today. They might even lose tomorrow. And I don't see them beating. Maybe like it might be Tennessee at home. Maybe that's even a question. I don't know who they're playing tomorrow, but
yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. All right, Chris. Appreciate you checking in as always. That's Chris in Syracuse. He's right about Kiyan Anthony. I said a lot leading into this tournament that I thought we all kind of need to pump the brakes a little bit on Kiyan being better than J.J. Starling or being a guy that definitely should close, definitely should start games. Kiyan has looked like a freshman, and he's looked more like what I thought Kiyan was going to be in the preseason. I think we all got excited, and it's understandable why we got excited. And I was trying to be the guy to remind everyone it was against Binghamton and Delaware State and Monmouth, and this is a big step up. Now I'd also be the guy to remind you that tomorrow, I think we could see a good game from Kiyan because he's not going against Houston or Kansas or one of the best defensive teams in the country year in and year out, basically. Kiyan has looked like a freshman. Sadiq White has looked like a freshman. Syracuse has looked like a team that is much improved defensively, and now you hope to get a little bit more shot making and shot creation as the season develops. And I think the main guys that you are going to need to see be better shot creators going forward are J.J. Starling, Kiyan Anthony as a freshman as he continues to develop. And I'm still very confident that Kiyan will be a good scorer in a lot of games. I think he's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster ride this year because that's how freshmen go. And I think his game is a little bit of hot and cold. He's going to have some games where he's a high-volume guy. He's going to turn it over. He's going to be a little inefficient. And then he's going to have some games where he goes out there and he drops 20. Or he drops 22 against an ACC team. And he is the story, and he is the reason why Syracuse won the game. And that's about all you can ask for, really, from a freshman who's coming off the bench. That's a good player to have on your team. So I'm not panicking, but I do feel like we all sort of needed a little bit of a reality check, a little bit on Kyan Anthony, and maybe we're getting that now. He's going against legit teams. He's going to struggle a little bit. He's going to look like a freshman at times. But J.J. Starling has to be better on offense. Nate Kings has to be better on offense. Nate Kings, I thought, played very well against Houston, and I have been in the Nate Kings fan club. But at the same time, he's got to start making shots. We can't keep saying this guy makes it all the time in practice. This guy's going to start making them. This guy was 45% last year. He made a 3 right out of the gate today. We keep saying he's going to wake up. He's going to have that big shooting game. They need him. This roster lacks shooters. It lacks shot creation. So they need JJ and Nate Kings, 2 veteran guys, to step up. And they just need Kyan to kind of get his feet wet and get more comfortable. He's not going to be the star of this team. I know a lot of you were excited about Kyan, and I'm excited about him too, but he's just a freshman. Let's keep the phone calls coming. Let's check in with Jake in Iowa. What's up, Jake?
Hey, Gio. Thanks for taking my call. First thing, if you airball a free throw and you're getting paid to play basketball, that should be a fine. You should be fined. So we all know that this year's team is significantly better than last year's team.
Yep.
Everybody knows that. But last year, that doesn't give them a pass. I said many times last year, bad teams find a way to lose, and bad teams have found a way to lose the last 2 games. They just find ways to lose. That's all I got to say. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Jake. Free throw shooting's a huge issue right now. I'm in agreement with all of you on that. I hope Red is understanding how big of an issue it is. We had some people when we were in the break talking, well, free throw shooting, you can't fix it in season. You got to find a way to get it better than it is right now. It's inexcusable. William Kyle, I understand he's practicing. He's working on it all the time. And I understand that it's tough to change your shot and your free throw routine a little bit in season. But they've got to take a long look at how can we get a little bit more, at least, out of William Kyle at the free throw line. And also, how do we figure out this JJ thing at the free throw line? Because we need the best version of JJ Starling for Syracuse to be a tournament team. And the best version of him is him driving, getting to the cup, and being aggressive. And if he is struggling from the free throw line, I'm not sure how aggressive he's going to be. And I'm not sure how much you can rely on him late in games because, honestly, I think we're all watching the games right now, and we're all thinking, I hope they don't start playing Hacka Kyle, Hacka JJ. And we haven't really seen it. We saw a little bit today with Kansas, but as the season progresses, as it becomes more and more of a thing, as they're playing in more close games, that's a legitimate tactic that every team should be using right now. And it is a major concern. Will this team not be good at closing games? Will they struggle in close games because of what they have at the free throw line? They've got to get that figured out somehow. Let's go to Joe and Cicero.
Yeah, I don't think it's just the free throw shooting. Obviously, that's a huge concern, but it's like you went out and got Nate Kings for a reason.
Yeah.
And you went out and got certain guys, and when they're just not hitting shots, you're like, man, they just what is Nate Kings giving you on the floor right now? But,
well, I push back on that a little. I think Nate Kings is a good defender. I think we've actually learned that he's got a more well-rounded game than maybe we were led to believe. Didn't show it totally today, but I think if you've been watching the entire season, I think he's actually done some nice things, but you're totally right. He has come here to be a three-point shooter. They need his three-point shooting, and he is not delivering in that regard.
I agree. I think he's been really good on the defensive end, and, I think his shot's going to come as well, but I'm very optimistic on this team. I think this is a tournament team. It's just like these past 3 years, you said it 2 years ago when we were in Maui against Tennessee and Gonzaga. Then we even said it last year against Texas. You're like, they're close, they're close against these teams. So at a certain point, you got to find a way to win these games.
Yeah, that's totally fair, Joe. I hear everyone in the fan base that is thinking, all right, it's year 3 now. This is the year to get it done. He's got the pieces. He's got the talent. Where are the wins? I guess the only thing I would say about that is This is Houston and Kansas, and it was without Donnie. So I think it's a little bit different than losing to Texas and Texas Tech. I think we've seen they have matched up athletically. I felt like watching this game today against Kansas, we were all doing the watch party. We kept saying, how is it a 5-point game? How is it a 2-point game? They did not play well today, and they were still sort of right there until the end. So it feels like it's different than last year, but you're totally right. They have to turn these losses into wins, or else it doesn't matter at all. Even if you're playing better than last year, you've got to get some wins out of this, and you've got to get some wins from the non-con. We'll work in a timeout. We'll get back to more of your phone calls, 315-437-7644. Always the phone number to call here on the Burdick Postgame Show. The Massage MV hotline is available. Appreciate all of you in the Cuse Sports Talk chat. We'll get to some of your comments during the break. 4 ESPN 44 if you want to call in on the show. After the Orange fall to Kansas, 71-60 the final score. Syracuse most likely playing tomorrow. Almost a certainty they are playing tomorrow. We will see who they are playing and what time. But it looks like they're avoiding the dreaded last four on Thanksgiving Day. That would not have been good. Hopefully this means, based on their margin of defeat in these two games, their point differential, they're playing someone who is a legitimate potential tournament team. They need that, and they need to get a win tomorrow for sure. Back after this quick break on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
This is
I would not start Kyan. I don't know how we could be vibing with Kyan starting after the way he's played the last 2 days. He's a freshman, like I said. JJ has played better than him in the last two games. Now, JJ should play better than him. I'm not arguing that, like, the barometer for JJ should be just to play better than Kyan. JJ needs to play better. Kyan needs to play better. It's more understandable that Kyan is struggling than JJ, but I would still start JJ. Can't the same be said about Betsy and Kyan? I mean, they came off the bench and played well in the first half yesterday. It's not also starting bench. Who really cares? Let's just pick the right people to close the game every game based on who's got the hot hand. And I think Red, for the most part, did that today. I think he's done that in every game so far, honestly. I've never been like, why is this guy closing? Why is that guy on the bench to this point? Q Sports Insider, though, Kyan is not making threes either. Like, Betsy came in and was 1 for 8 from 3 in the first half, I think. He made some on the side, or maybe he wasn't 1 for 8, but it's tough. I mean, they need more from JJ and Kings, but it's not like Kyan would be giving them more than what JJ and Nate Kings are giving them. I don't see them playing Rutgers. I don't know why that's... Right now, Rutgers is definitely playing on Thursday, I would say, and Syracuse is definitely playing on Wednesday. Yeah, they climbed to 300 in KenPom. I don't know if they've updated KenPom yet. They'll probably stay about where they were, which was 51. Oh, they fell big to 57. Fire Red. That's actually a bigger drop than I would have guessed. 51 to 57 after this game. Started the week at 61. You can't play Notre Dame because consolation game can't be against a conference team. You're looking at probably the Oregon-San Diego State winner. Be my best guess right now, but it's hard to say. Houston up 10-6 early. And by the way, I think they could beat Oregon if they win. I think they could beat San Diego State. I would take that matchup. Could see Baylor. I think Baylor's lost twice, right? Is that official? They could play the Johnnies, but they are blasting Baylor right now. So I would think basically they're going to play the worst 1-1 point differential team because it looks like there's going to be 5. I'm not even counting Notre Dame because they can't play them. And even with Notre Dame, I think there's going to be 5 0-2 teams, right? Here's who we know is playing Thursday. UNLV. They have to play Thursday if they're not. That's part of their agreement. UNLV is definitely playing Thursday regardless of if they beat Alabama, I'd say, which they're not going to beat Alabama. Creighton is behind Syracuse, so they would play Thursday. Creighton is a minus 20 point differential. Syracuse is better than that. Rutgers is definitely playing Thursday. And then San Diego State lost by 40. So even if they win, that means Oregon is 0-2 and they'd be playing.
Game show.
All right, welcome back in on the Postgame Show. Having some fun in the Cuse Sports Talk chat. Postgame Show always brought to you by Burdick. Massage MV Hotline has been a ringing after this game. We'll get to some of the comments from Coach Autry after this game as well, as he is at the podium right now, I believe. So we will relay some of those comments. Usually have Coach Autry's full postgame press conference when it is home games. Can't do that for the road games. But feel free to call in at 315-437-7644. Orange falling to Kansas. Syracuse has dropped the first 2 games in competitive fashion here from Las Vegas. About what you would have expected, maybe a little bit better than the metrics, the overall average college basketball fan who does not follow Syracuse closely would have expected from the Orange, especially considering Donnie Freeman is not available, which is a bummer, and Syracuse got beat by 20 on the boards. They really just struggled to make shots. They need to hit threes better, and they obviously need to hit free throws better, and they need more from their shot creators than what they are getting. But they are going up against 2 of the better defensive programs in the country year in and year out. And tomorrow is a really big game. We've been talking about who could they be playing. It seems to me, based on spending way too much time looking at the calculations here and looking at how this silly tournament is comprised, it seems like at 0-2, but with a fairly good point differential, Syracuse is going to dodge the 0-2 with bad point differential that is playing on Thursday, which means that they would probably play a 1-1 team that has the worst point differential, which is most likely the winner of the very last game of the evening that starts at 11 p.m. local time for us, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. That is Oregon, San Diego State. Oregon is a team that Adrian Autry beat in year 1 at a neutral site venue, and Syracuse looked very good in that game. San Diego State is a team that they have beaten in the tournament recently. I would like either of those matchups. They could see a Baylor as well. Baylor is en route to going 1-1 because they're getting smoked by St. John's, but they beat Creighton. Good news is the teams that are definitely playing Thursday, and why I am confident, because the bottom 4 will play Thursday, why I'm confident that Syracuse will be at worst team 5 right now is you've got Creighton, who has a worse point differential than Syracuse. They are behind them. They went 0-2 as well. You've got Rutgers, who went 0-2 and is well behind with the negative 20 point differential, the worst point differential you can have in this tournament. It maxes out at plus 20 or minus 20. You've got UNLV, who, as part of their agreement for playing in said tournament, if they are not in the championship games or the third place games, so the top 4, they have to play on Thursday because they're already there, and it makes more sense for them to stay. UNLV is playing Alabama. They lost yesterday. They're probably going to be 0-2 anyway, so it's a moot point, and they'd be a Thursday team anyway. So that's 3. I just named Creighton, Rutgers, UNLV. then the loser of Oregon, San Diego State. If it is San Diego State, they lost by 40 yesterday, they're going to have a worse point differential than Syracuse. If it is Oregon and San Diego State wins, it's most likely, because Oregon, I could look it up again to be exact on what they lost by yesterday, but it's most likely that Oregon would also be behind Syracuse in point differential. The only way I can see it anyway right now that Syracuse is playing on Thursday is if Oregon wins the game, if San Diego State wins the game by a margin that puts Oregon still in a better point differential at 0-2 than Syracuse at 0-2. But that seems unlikely. What's likely is Syracuse will probably play the winner of San Diego State, Oregon, or a Baylor maybe because their point differential is looking pretty rough, or another team. We'll continue to monitor all the games. It's tough to wrap your head around, but that is my best guess of the situation as it stands right now. Back to the phone lines. We've got Dro in Clay. What's happening, Dro?
Hey, man. How you doing? Frustrating loss. I mean, first off, okay, if this was last year, we lose these games by 40-plus points. We understand that, okay? So have we improved and we're more competitive? Yes. However, being competitive is only get you so far. You're going to have to win some of these games. You don't win these games, it's a moot point. The goal is to win these games. It gives you hope that we're competitive. Obviously, I think tomorrow and Tennessee are going to be must-wins for us. So I think we need to get these next two games. And Tennessee's at home, and they're a good team. We'll see how they do against Houston tonight. But some concerns, and we'll go some positives. Some concerns is the free throw shooting. It's late in the game. William Cowell can't be in the game. And that's the bottom line. He can't be in. I'm not sure.
Only thing I'll say, I agree with you, Dro. If they have Donnie Freeman, who would you put in there today, though?
No, I'm just saying if we are winning the game late. Oh, no. If we're winning the game late with free throws.
Well,
if we're up and they're going to foul. No, right. I get it for tip, but I get the point is we need to find some free throw shooters. I do think that free throws might cost us a couple more games down the road, too.
Okay, if they're winning the game, separate conversation. I agree with you. Right now,
today didn't matter. They're going to win the game, but if we're up by 3 or 4, William Cowell can't be in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's too bad because he's such a force underneath there. And JJ's struggling too with the free throws too. So that's another surprise too. So we got to figure out that. I think Kings shot 45% last year, 42% at Oregon. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. Anthony was off today. I mean, but with all that said, all those negatives I'm pointing out, we were competitive in these two games. So it gives you hope to think that we can get the job done, get enough wins to make the NCAA tournament, get on the right side of the bubble here. Because, but we can't lose tomorrow. We cannot leave Las Vegas going 0-3.
No,
that'll be devastating. So
you're 100% right about that. Yeah,
have to win the game tomorrow and hopefully figure out some things. But I think Syracuse proved that they can go out there and play with competitive teams, and I think that can help them when the ACC starts. I almost said the Big East. When the ACC starts.
Right.
So I think there's some positives that come with it too. And I mean, the shots eventually have to fall. I like Betsy, and I think Kings, they'll get it going. And hopefully, we're talking different tuning in a couple of weeks. But we didn't get blown up by 20-plus points. Because last year, I think we played Maryland last year. We lost 97-60.
Yeah.
Something stupid like
Tennessee, that worked.
That's not happening this year. And that's the good news with it. So we know we're there. We just have to get over the hump. That's it.
Absolutely. Very well said by Dro. This also brings me back to something that I've been harping on from the moment I saw the schedule from Syracuse, and something I think they messed up on schedule-wise. I think they were right to schedule the way they did building into Vegas and trying to run up the score and boost your net ranking and boost all the metrics by playing the worst teams basically in Division I, and understanding that winning by 20, winning by 30, winning by 40, it all matters. And they have done that. And they have played that game, and I'm all for Red doing that because that's what everyone else is doing around the country. The biggest issue I have with the schedule is they don't have anyone that is 40 to 70 in the preseason rankings in their non-conference schedule. You really hope they draw that team tomorrow, and you really hope they beat them. There was a lot riding on them getting that type of team in the third game and them winning that game in the third game. Tennessee is going to be a tough game at home. Now, I'm all for playing some of the best teams. I think it's, in a way, good that it worked out that they're playing Houston, Kansas. They have Tennessee. That's going to boost their schedule. Remember when St. Joe's was dropped as the game before Vegas, and they were talking about, would you add UNLV on the road? I was advocating for them to add that type of team. UNLV is not even that good, but I think the biggest concern is the way they crafted the non-conference schedule. There's a world where Syracuse is a lot better than last year, and we all agree on that. This team is a whole lot better than last year. But what if they don't beat Tennessee? What if they have just one win in the third game tomorrow and we come out of the non-con and we're saying Syracuse is better, but the metrics and everyone's not really looking at them as a bubble team yet. And then it just all comes down to how good is the ACC, which we think is better, and how many wins can you get in ACC play? And remember, the Orange's ACC schedule is not a great draw. They play a lot of the tough teams on the road. So the Tennessee game is huge. The game tomorrow is more than huge. I mean, it matters so much. It's even hard to put into words for a game that will be played on November 26th. It is a monumental game tomorrow, regardless of who they play, but especially if they do play like an Oregon or a San Diego State. That would be a huge game tomorrow, and it's important that Syracuse turns around in third game in 3 days without Donnie Freeman. They continue to play with the right energy and effort. I thought their energy was fine in this game, but I do feel like the concern coming off last night was, is that going to be the highlight of Vegas? That close game against Houston, was that the peak of the trip? Based on how much energy they exerted, how much it was a emotional overtime loss without your best player. We'll see. Tomorrow is a really big game. And I wish that the schedule had more of those type of games that I think we're going to see tomorrow. That's the one thing I would have changed with the schedule this year, because I think we're all in agreement here Syracuse is better, but we're also all in agreement that coming up close in these games doesn't really do them any good. It's just another missed opportunity in the end. You have to turn these close losses, the progress, you have to turn them into wins. We all know what's on the line here. We all know they need to get back to the NCAA tournament for this to be a satisfying season. Even if Donnie Freeman is out in this stretch, it doesn't matter. You have to turn some of these close losses into wins. You've missed 2 chances that could have been monumental changes to how we think about Syracuse basketball, how the average college basketball fan is thinking about Syracuse basketball. You missed them. Those are in the rear view now. You've looked good. You've looked like a team that can compete with anyone, even though you're not hitting your shots, even though Nate Kings is struggling, even though we're pointing to a lot of negatives about this team. It still feels like they're nowhere close to their ceiling. And they are competing with 2 of the best programs in the country at a neutral site without their best player. That's great, but man, you got to win tomorrow. I can't express enough how important tomorrow's game is. 315-437-7644. We'll get to some of Coach Autry's comments from the postgame press conference, what he was asked about, what he said after this tough loss to Kansas, 71-60, the final score. We can get to some more of your thoughts in the Cuse Sports Talk chat or on the phone lines again for ESPN 44. Back with more of our Burdick postgame show here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
This is our
Steve, you beat me to it. I'm worried about the lack of opportunities for good wins until February. I agree. Yeah, Phil, it's looking like they got to beat Tennessee and be top 6 in the ACC. That's well said. I think this team is good enough to be top 6 in the ACC. I think right now my guess would be they're right around 6. But gosh, you got to win tomorrow, and you got to do your job in terms of quad one games. Yeah, Tennessee's good. Tennessee's also just giving Syracuse fits. I mean, we keep playing them. Red keeps losing to them. Doesn't matter who. It's Tennessee's similar to Houston, but I would say the bigger issue with them is they're going to offensive rebound even better than Houston maybe, and they're going to have a little bit better shot created. Like, they run good stuff on offense. Houston really is kind of iso ball on offense. A little bit like Syracuse, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a negative, but Syracuse has always been that way on offense. Houston has always been that way, and I'm sure Red Autry is kind of modeling his approach off of Kelvin Sampson in a way, and you should be. That's the best coach in the country right now, I'd say. In the last 5 years, there's no better, more consistent program than Houston. So they're getting better. I mean, they're closer to that, but like we keep saying, how much is this free throw shooting going to prevent them from winning close games? You can be a whole lot better, but if you're not playing well in crunch time and you're the team that is losing the close games compared to winning them, that can shape the discussion of you quite a bit. Tennessee's down 25-16 right now, for anyone wondering. The only thing with the criticizing the free throws, I mean, it is inexcusable what they're doing at the free throw line. I promise you they're working on the free throws. I just don't know why it's so bad. I don't know why it's become such a mental thing. I think you have to put some of that on coaching for sure. But Philly's most wanted, who would you have better? I mean, they have finished second in KenPom 4 straight years. Think about that. Number 1 seed 3 straight years. Top 5 in KenPom 5 straight years. I know you're going to say, well, they haven't won it all, but I think it's a matter of time for them. I think Bill Self's great. I think they've gone against 2 of the best coaches in the sport. I'm the type of person, like Mark Few, I think, is one of the best coaches. And some people would say, well, he hasn't won the big one. I think you got to keep in mind, too, Houston's NIL budget compared to the big schools, Houston's level of talent. Now they're starting to recruit some guys that are NFL or NBA guys, but Houston, no matter who they've had, who they brought in, he has made them buy into their system. And I think he's the best coach in the country right now in terms of the culture they're building and doing more with less, or however you want to phrase that, like maximizing the talent that they have. It's not as if Houston is even a top 15 or top 10 most talented team most years, but they're always there. And this year, they might actually have a little bit more in terms of the horses. Hurley's great too, but I don't know. If I had one guy right now, I think it's Kelvin Sampson. You just know you're going to be, at worst, like a 2 seed right now with the way that Houston's been playing year over year. But I don't really know why I'm spending this much time arguing about it. Let's talk about Syracuse.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
We're rolling along on the postgame show. Brought to you by our friends at Burdick. Phone lines remain open as we head into the home stretch here on the postgame show. 315-437-7644. If you want to chime in on the phone lines, let's relay a little bit of what stood out here from Coach Adrian Autry's press conference from Las Vegas. The Orange falling today to Kansas, 71-60, the final score. Syracuse almost definitely playing tomorrow. Maybe seeing Oregon, maybe seeing San Diego State, whoever wins that game, maybe seeing Baylor. Someone in that neighborhood. Maybe a Creighton tomorrow because Notre Dame is a 1-1 team. We could spend hours and hours looking at it. It's a tough thing to figure out. Can't play Notre Dame for anyone wondering about that. They will not put a conference opponent against a conference opponent in the consolation bracket. We'll get to more of your thoughts on the phone lines in just a second. Do want to go through some of Coach Autry's comments. Thanks to the best radio station, student radio station in the country, WAER Sports. They are live tweeting the press conference from Las Vegas. From Coach Autry, we're learning a lot of lessons. The last 2 games have helped us. We're getting better, but we have a lot of things we have to work on. I agree with that. For Coach Autry, for me, it's not about the offense. It's truly about us and our energy. I will say this. I think I've also talked about this quite a bit when I've had the chance to talk here on these airwaves. Coach Autry is almost exclusively talking about energy and defense after these games. And he's almost exclusively saying it's about our defense. I don't even really care about the offense. The defense is really good right now. We got to focus on the offense a little bit too. The offense needs to be better. And he's almost exclusively saying level 5 energy. We just need to play defense the way we know we can. We kind of did that in both these games. Great teams are good on offense, good on defense. I don't want him to, he's not ignoring the offense, of course. I'm not trying to make it seem like he is. But he is really leaning into the effort, the energy, the defense this year. And I understand why he's doing that. But when you go up against teams like this, you also got to be able to put the ball on the floor and score some. And you got to be able to capitalize at the free throw line. And they, of course, have not done that. We'll get to more of Coach Autry's comments in just a little bit. Back to the phone lines where we've got Vito in Liverpool. What's happening, Vito?
Yeah, man, I didn't get to call in last night. That was really disappointing. I know I was talking with the screener. I wanted to see Nate George get that shot up. In every situation where you're going for the game-winning shot, you got to get the shot. The shots just got to go up, bottom line. And it was really disappointing to see him try to get cute at the end and dish it down underneath against those bigs against a team like Houston. If I'm head coach, just get the shot off, and that was disappointing, like I said. Here's the thing. The team has improved at just about every position. William Kyle is 1,000 times better than Meathead Lampkin, who was slow, who really just could only back people down. But he has a catch-22, this free throw shooting. It's a big problem. We didn't have a rim protector like him since probably Christmas, Raheem? You know, that gives you a lot of options. It allows
you're probably right.
Yeah. And that's the excitement that, at least for me, he brings to the table. Like, you can do half-court presses, keep him under the basket. Nobody's going to try. I mean, you could see Houston last night. He was altering shots. They did not want to go down low against him when he was there. And I saw multiple shots where they didn't go in because they had to alter them because of him. And, you know, they improved there. They improve at every position except for one. And you guess what position that is? That's J.J. Starling's position. That dude he's plateaued. His best year was his freshman season at Notre Dame. It's unbelievable.
I think last year was his best year. I also understand what you're going to say, though. He wasn't very efficient last year, but come on, you have to say his best year was last year. He was a better player last year than he was in his first year at Syracuse.
I think it's arguable, man. I think it's arguable.
Let's remember, he went for like 38 in a game last year. Everyone was saying at the start of last year, wow, JJ is blossomed into one of the best guards in the country. And I'm not saying that was right, and clearly he has plateaued from that point, but let's not ignore how good he was at points last year.
Oh, he was, but I just think he was a steadier player his freshman season at Notre Dame. I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, he's got that, everybody knows about his infamous hitch in his shot. It even manifests itself at the free throw line, but he shoots 3 for 13 today in a game when they desperately needed him. I said that the team was the success would live or die with Nate Kings and Freeman and Cayenne. But Cayenne's ball handling is why he's not in at the end of these important games.
He's just jacking up shots he shouldn't take too. I mean, he's 2 for 12 and he's shooting too many long range threes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's amazing to me at that level. that these guys, the three-point shot is not hard. And it's a struggle watching them shoot it. You have no confidence. I don't know what's going on with that, but, I mean, you got guys like Nate King's going 1 for 5 tonight.
Kyan 0 for 6, yeah.
Yeah, Starling, I think he went, 2 for 4? Was it 1 for 4 or 2 for 4? I'm not sure. But
he was 2 for 6, yeah. He put up 6. A couple late at the end there, yeah. His three-point shooting has been okay, but the rest of his game has not been good. I mean, he's not getting to the basket as much as I remember JJ. He's not finishing around the basket. And then, of course, his free throw shooting is maybe the single biggest issue of any player on the team right now. So I'm with you on JJ. I do feel like the team overall just didn't get enough from other guys besides JJ tonight, too. I don't want to, hyper-focus on him, but I do think he's maybe the X factor here. He's maybe the most valuable player. Like, if he can get back to what he was at times last year, and he can do it in an efficient manner around good pieces, then that's the best version of this team, and he has not looked like the best version of himself to this point in the season.
I will say this, 2 more points. I will say we're going to see who steps up as far as the dependable ball handler and who's the guy that's going to take over, because I think it's between Nate George and JJ. And Nate George has not shown me that he has that killer instinct.
But it doesn't have to be between them, right? I mean, what are you saying? They can both play at the same time.
They can play at the same time, but last night it was they called on Nate's number to
and that's because of the free throw shooting, I would say, a little bit, right? I mean, I'm all for George being the guy last night. You said it well. He's just got to get the shot off. He's got to start a little bit earlier.
Right. We'll see what happens between those two. But another key point, I almost feel like, if your team's running a hot hand and, you come back and in tonight's case, they cut the lead to 52-50. It's like you don't want to call timeout because you want to keep that energy going. But sometimes it's almost like, when you're playing, a blue blood like that or Houston, you just want to call timeout and say, okay, guys, reset. It's a 2-point game now. Let's keep our composure. But, he didn't do that, and they fell apart. Suarez should have gotten that rebound. I think Badunga came over the top of him without going over the back. That was the play right there. And I think there was another. Yeah, that was it.
I wish Kyle was in the game for that rebound. I think that was 4 minutes left, and Kyle was at the scorer's table, and I was thinking, man, I want them to get Kyle back in the game, and then Badunga got a big rebound over Suarez there. You're right.
Yep, that was a play for me that lost. But we'll see. I'm watching right now. I'm watching to see what happens with Kings. I'm sorry, with Nathan George and JJ. Who's going to be the leader of the team? Who's going to be the leader of the floor general, so to speak? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I appreciate you checking in, Vito. I mean, I think the floor general is Nathan George. I think the question maybe he's asking there is who's going to take the shot at the end of the game, and can you actually put it in JJ's hands? Maybe going into the season we were thinking it was JJ, but now with the free throw issues for JJ, is it actually him at the end of the game? Probably not your best option right now. And we had Eric Devendorf on Orange Nation, and he brought up that point right now. Who is that guy that they need to turn to for a bucket? Because Starling, you hoped would be that guy. Donnie Freeman is out right now. He's not a guard. You almost want it to be a guard. Nathan George, I think, has a lot of pros. I think we should all be excited about Nathan George, and he is your floor general. But I don't know if Nathan George is ever going to be a high-ceiling shot creator like you hoped maybe J.J. Starling could get to at this point in his career, like you hope that Kyan Anthony could get to at some point this season. And Kyan did not play well in these last 2 games. We've talked about that enough, I think. Sadiq White was a little underwhelming today. I thought Sadiq started out the game well. I was advocating for Sadiq White and Nate Kings were going to have sort of their stock be on the rise coming out of Vegas. It's not really been the case. I mean, they just haven't gotten enough from their main scorers. And I do think we have to keep in mind it's going up against Houston and Kansas, some really good defenses, and there's a reason why I was able to spot this would be a narrative, and it's probably going to be a narrative when they play Tennessee. That's the concerning thing. They're playing the best of the best in terms of defenses right now, and they have a weakness in the half-court offense a little bit. And when you have a little bit of a weakness, it can get exposed against these type of teams. Having said that, they scored plenty of points yesterday. And it wasn't as if they weren't in this game against Kansas. They just didn't make shots that they should have made in most scenarios. And Vito's right about the three-point shooting. It's concerning to see them get that many clean looks from three-point range, and it's just not very confident looking for some of their guys that are considered shooters right now. Betsy was struggling in the first half, and it was kind of like, who's going to make a three? Kings isn't making his shot. Kyan's not making his shot. It gets pretty thin there in terms of shot makers for them, if that's the case. So I'm still overall encouraged by the team. They're playing without Donnie Freeman. They were in these games. This one a little bit more discouraging just because you got all excited yesterday that maybe they are ready to take down Kansas. Not to be. But I think they'll win tomorrow. Whoever they play, I think they will win. I think they'll come out of this Vegas trip and it will set up a huge game against Tennessee at home, and we'll see how they look against them. And I think it's going to be a much more fun team to follow this year, and I think they are a team that belongs on the court against anyone in the country. They can beat anyone this year. They're not going to get blown out by any good teams this year. I'm pretty confident in that, unless injuries go crazy. And even losing your best player and going up against two of the tougher programs in recent memory, they did not get blown out, of course. They were actually arguably outplaying Houston yesterday, except for the free throws. So there's a lot to like here, but I think we're all in agreement. They got to scratch off a win tomorrow, and they got to start turning these moral victories, or whatever you want to call them, the close losses, into wins. As we wrap up, always want to give a shout out to how the Orange can improve. We've talked about it a lot on the postgame show. It's always brought to you by the Auburn Community Hospital. Auburn Community Hospital is improving their team. Apply today at auburnhospital.org. Got to improve on the free throw shooting. And I think J.J. Starling is the biggest X factor going forward. They need more from J.J. Starling. I don't think he's the scapegoat. I don't think he's the guy that should be getting all the blame right now. But I think J.J. Starling himself would tell you he needs to be playing a little bit better. He needs to shake off, if there is rust from the hamstring injury, that should be shaken off by now. And he needs to be downhill attacking J.J. Starling. And I think that ties back to the free throw shooting. They also need Nate Kings to be better as a shooter specifically. And they need Kyan Anthony to be a little bit smarter about his shot selection. And there's a lot of things that you could pick out with all of these guys offensively. But I really like what I'm seeing from William Kyle. I think he's been a positive outside of the free throw shooting. I think Tyler Betsy has been better than we could have hoped for. I think Tyler Betsy is probably more like a 35% three-point shooter than what he's shooting to this point in the year, which is 40%. But I don't really blame him for taking a lot of shots because there weren't a lot of good options, it felt like, on offense at times today. And he just wasn't shooting great in the first half, and he kind of came alive in the second half. So, in conclusion, watch San Diego State, Oregon tonight. Whoever wins that game might face the Cuse. Basically, it seems like they're going to be playing the worst team that is 1-1 point differential-wise. That'd be my best guess right now. It's hard to say for sure. That's my best guess right now. And you got to win tomorrow. Got to win tomorrow. For the postgame show tomorrow, it'll be Paulie. We'll have Orange Nation if it doesn't overlap with the game tomorrow. So we'll have you covered tomorrow for the big game. I believe it'll be Gio on pregame tomorrow. And we appreciate all of you for chiming in on the phone lines. We appreciate Jordan out there working hard. We appreciate Jordan for getting me some of those Red Autry comments. Those are always brought to you by our friends at RomanoCars.com. Anytime we hear from Coach Autry here on the postgame show, shop today from anywhere at RomanoCars.com. Thanks to everyone in the Q Sports Talk chat, and we will talk to you in some form or fashion tomorrow once we figure out when the heck Syracuse is playing and who the heck they're playing. But everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk Cuse basketball with you tomorrow on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
This is our